Hey, anyone in sales, it can be easy to get so focused on growth and building new business that you forget about some other things and you overlook or just outright ignore signals, right? And symptoms that are popping up and trying to say, hey, alert, alert, you have a weak spot here. And then if you're an insurance agent, one of the toughest parts of this job is as you grow, you still want to grow that top line revenue, but you still have your other clients you got to keep on the back end, right? You got to maintain the renewals, keep them happy. And so you have those two dynamics you're always trying to balance. And so there's a lot of symptoms that take place that if you don't see this happen, it's going to be too late. And then all of a sudden, boom, you lose a huge client, or you have a drought of 10 months where you sell nothing, or your service person quits, right? So it's really important that you have awareness, that you slow down and you kind of look at your book as a business, right? Because if you don't take the time to look at the bigger picture, slow down and actually listen and to see the signals and the symptoms, like I said, you're going to hit, all of a sudden you're going to start falling apart and realize, oh shoot, like what's going on here? So a couple, like that I can think of, like from your account manager, right? She could be giving you cues like she's stressed all the time, she's working too hard. That's a signal, right? If she drops a little line to you like, oh, I'm just working like crazy, I worked till 6 o'clock last night. That's a signal that maybe you should say, thank you, right? Show them some appreciation, give them a little bonus, do something, or just check in like, hey, I noticed you're working a ton. Like, is there anything I can do to help offload things on you? That's a simple one, guys. But losing a service person is a major blow to your business. It's also a risk because now you got to find someone new, and it's not always easy to do. Another thing is, a symptom is let's say the outcome is losing a client, but some of the symptoms might just be like the client's not returning your calls anymore, right? Or you reach out and it takes them 2-3 days to get back to you, right? So those are some things to kind of be aware of. And maybe you got to check yourself and say, hey, I should probably reach out to them and grab a lunch, or I should reach out to them and we need to do a renewal strategy meeting, or we got to get better at our renewal process with them. I got to be upcoming renewal. I got to basically be more intentional because there's a couple of cracks here, or kind of they pushed back on this COI, or they said, hey, I had to ask you twice for this. It's the hard part with insurance is always minor things that seem minor, but it doesn't take a lot because it's an intangible product. And then boom, your client leaves you, right? So all those, that's why it's hard not to be a perfectionist in insurance, like on the service side, because it is a service business. And so like response times, accuracy are the two biggest things. Like, hey, we told you to remove this vehicle. Why is it still on our list? That's a signal right there. And now you got to address it. And then I would follow up to make sure that your team knows how to fix it, but also that the client knows that you're on it. Because if they don't, all it takes is 2 to 3 times like that, and you're getting AOR'd, and you're like, what the hell? I didn't do anything wrong. Like, I thought we had a pretty good relationship. And they're gone, right? So pay attention to that. The last thing I'll talk about is maybe you just had you have a terrible, terrible year. Well, before the terrible year, maybe you realized some things like you had a dry pipeline for a month, or you have no new business meetings over the next month. Like, why is that, right? Pay attention to that signal. Maybe you're not prioritizing your time. I know this seems so basic, but maybe you're not prioritizing your time right? Maybe you're dealing with cold call reluctance, and that's bleeding into not making enough calls, which is bleeding enough to meetings dipping, which is bleeding into your sales results sucking. So if that's the case, pay attention, right? Hey, why do I have the cold call reluctance? Do the internal work, the internal audit, figure out why you have that. Maybe you need to boost your confidence. Maybe you need to change up your script. Maybe you need to, whatever. So just wanted to encourage you guys that you have a lot of moving parts, but stay aware of all these little signals and don't discount them just because they seem little. Those little cracks will eventually lead to a client leaving, to a terrible sales year, or to a client manager leaving. And that's the last thing that you want to have happen. Hey, if you like this video, do us a big favor. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to our newsletters. We come out with one every Monday and every Wednesday, and you'll really enjoy them. Thanks.